Welcome to Fun and Fundraising, everybody, the podcast where we talk with people behind top nonprofit galas and signature fundraising events to showcase how they positively transform their communities. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, and today I'm really excited and honored to have Courtney Derderian and Nina Sasche on as guests, and they are co-chairs for the Cattle Barons Ball in Dallas. And the Cattle Barons Ball, for anyone who's not familiar with it, is American Cancer Society's largest single night fundraiser in the United States. Yes, you heard that correctly. It's an incredible event. Last year's raised over $7 million, and I'm sure this year will be just as strong, if not stronger. And Courtney and Nina are going to, provide so many great insights on what it takes to, put on and host and successfully fundraise, into the seven figures and entertain quite a large crowd of guests in an iconic space. So this is going to be a fun conversation. So with that, Courtney, Nina, welcome. And I'm just thrilled you're both here today.
Well, thank
Thank
you
you
for
so much
having
for
us.
having me.
Absolutely. So Courtney, share with us what the mission of the American Cancer Society is.
So, the mission of the society as a whole is to end cancer as we know it for everyone. And, as Cattle Barons Ball, we affiliated with the American Cancer Society years ago, and direct all of our fundraising efforts to ACS, with a specific focus on funding research in North Texas.
Fantastic. And there's so much world-class medical care in North Texas, so it's a great location to do that. You can piggyback off of and partner and collab with so many great institutions. I just think that's amazing. And you know, I always ask this question of guests because every single person winds up involved with an organization in a different way. And Nina, I'd love to hear your story first, and then Courtney, I'd love to hear yours after that. But Nina, talk a little bit about how you initially got involved with Cattle Baron slash the American Cancer Society.
Yes. I had a really good friend, Paige Westoff, approach me to see if I was interested 11 years ago. So I've been a Cattle Barons member for a little over a decade. And, my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer and passed away 10 years ago. And so unfortunately, we've all been touched by cancer in some way. And so I continue to really do this for her and for everyone else who's fighting. And it really is an awful disease and continues to spread amongst our community all the time.
Absolutely. And there's two things. One is every single person is touched by cancer. And I think
Hmm.
that's one of the reasons the event is so successful. But two, you've been involved with the organization for over a decade. So I'd love to hear, what about this organization has allowed you to devote your time, because 11 years is a long time to support an organization. So I'd love to know what keeps you coming back every year.
You're with 100 women all doing this for the same cause. And it's been, a lot of it is for the cause, obviously, and a lot of it's for the friendship too. I mean, it's amazing to come into an organization where you can also shine in different areas. I did production for many years, I've done silent auction. So it really, you get educated along the way too, and just really have a great time doing it as well.
I'm glad to hear about it, and I'm glad that you've helmed other committees. It's not like they're saying, okay, here's our $7 million gala. Go, Nina, raise $7 million, because that would be a little terrifying. So it's great to hear, that you cut your teeth with the organization, you're familiar with it, and you've served on several other committees. And that's an important thing for anyone who's any organization looking to find an effective leader for their gala. Keep those things in mind. You definitely want to look to promote from within when you can. And Courtney, I'd love to hear, your journey as to how you initially got involved with ACS and the Cattle Barons Ball.
Yeah, so I'm a physician at Children's Medical Center, and one of my partner's wives actually chaired the ball about 20 years ago. And so we got to know each other, and she actually was the one who reached out to me and said, "Would you be interested in doing this? I think you'd be a great fit." And at that point, I actually had some other friends in the organization, so I just kind of, reached out to them to get some more information, see what Cattle Barons was about, and then I decided to pursue it.
That's fantastic. And I know Nina had mentioned, her passion for this organization clearly comes from her being directly touched by cancer with her mother. Talk a little bit about where your passion for and helping the American Cancer Society and, being involved with an organization for 20 years. I mean, that's really quite the commitment to, to do. And I'm sure it's been off and on, but, it's, for you to keep coming back to it. What is it about the organization that makes you so
Yeah.
passionate about it?
Yeah, so I mean, as a physician, I care for, unfortunately, children every day who are, fighting that battle, and just seeing the progress that's even just been made over the last decade in terms of research and treatments. Just knowing that this doesn't have to be something that affects us forever. Hopefully, I think just seeing that progress really is inspiring, and then also just seeing the support within the community because every year, again, we just seem to get more and more support, and the event just gets bigger and better every year. And so just watching that growth just really is inspiring.
That's fantastic. And, Cattle Barons it's not a Dallas only event insofar as there are several cattle barons around, not just Texas. I think there's some that are a couple that may even be outside of Texas, regionally throughout the South more in particular. So Nina, I'd love to direct this next question to you. How does the Dallas chapter of Cattle Barons Ball incorporate a local feel while also highlighting the mission of a national organization?
Well, the great thing is that cattle barons is all over the United States. We in Dallas are the largest one single night fundraiser for ACS. But it's fun to cheer each other on because we have like our higher ups at ACS have calls around the US trying to figure out what did you do better? How can we learn from you? How can we learn from them? It just really is a group effort to continue to grow cattle barons all over the US.
That's fantastic. And it's one of those things. You all really are the gold standard and the Texas Star for fundraising, really not just with this organization, but really quite frankly, throughout Texas and throughout the United States. And I'd love to hear each of your thoughts. And Courtney, we can start with you on this. But what is the secret? Because Cattle Barons is tied to the American Cancer Society. So talk about the secret of creating a really strong partnership between Cattle Barons and and ACS so that you really create this dynamic event that people just cannot wait to attend every single year.
Yeah, I think Nina and I figured out pretty closely how tight that relationship is and just how much support ACS provides us. Number one, they provide excellent staff members that help us, do this event every year that are full time and really just go above and beyond. We definitely couldn't do it without them. And then also just the ACS leadership. We sat down with them very early on and just talked about our mission and our goal for the organization. And, we just felt very aligned. And I think our goals are their goals, which is why it works.
That's fantastic. And Nina, I'd love for you to share some additional thoughts if you have any on that.
I mean, really, Courtney said it beautifully, but we are so lucky to be under American Cancer Society. I mean, they are a powerhouse, and their goal is to end cancer. And hopefully, in the near future. But gosh, I mean, there's so much fighting to still do. And again, we are so lucky to have the most amazing staff that is here in Dallas as well. And they support us day in and day out. And we couldn't do it without them.
That's absolutely well said and fantastic. And, it wouldn't be a Cattle Barons without some great music. So before we dive into this year's entertainment, I'm just going to list some of the performers you all have had over the years. Tammy Wynette, Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Loretta Lynn, George Strait, Shania Twain, Carrie Underwood. Those are icons. Every single one of those people is an icon. And people often ask me, what's an organization that consistently draws just amazing musical talent year after year? And I always direct them to Cattle Barons. So Courtney, I love your thoughts, and then Nina, I love your thoughts after that. But what advice would you give to somebody trying to get a high profile person to say yes to attend and perform / appear at their event?
Yeah, well, we can't take credit for this alone. We have an excellent team who helps us with this. So we did have a buying agent who helped us secure this, incredibly high level artist this year, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, soon. Sorry, it's loud here. Um, And I think that piece of it definitely was huge for us. We had our dream list that we spoke with them very honestly about, knowing that it was a dream list. But I think we also just thought about where we wanted to take the organization. And I think each year, as you probably noticed, that list you list, named off for the different years, that went along with the theme, or it went along with the location, or it went along with kind of what's next for the organization. And so I think very much we've, like you said, tied ourselves to the music piece and sort of where we're headed as an organization.
Absolutely. And please share your thoughts on that as well.
Courtney and I had a lot of fun with this piece. We both love music. We love country music. We love going seeing live shows. So we had a lot of fun putting together our dream list. And we were ended up securing our dream performer, and it was a team effort. And we our booking agent was amazing. But it's you got to dream big, and we got there.
That's amazing. Now, can you elaborate, for anyone who may not be familiar, talk about, I'd love to hear a couple of things. One is talk about what a booking agent is and how that helps you all, secure guests. But also, can you share how you and Courtney and perhaps the wider Cattle Barons Committee went about creating kind of that short list before, you identified who the actual performer would be?
I can take that question. It's an interesting process. It's these booking agents have different relationships with, let's say, CAA or red light agency, or just these top people that represent these artists. And a lot has to do with schedule too. And you do a lot of asking and waiting, asking, waiting. So it's not that easiest process, but it also it takes time and patience, but it all works out. And we had a lot of fun along the way, and the relationships with what they have really help us then too. And really, Courtney and I are the ones who determine the entertainment for the year. So it's each chairs each year that get to decide which direction to go.
That's fantastic. And I'm glad you talked about using a booking agency and kind of going outside of yourself. And it may be, it's one of those things that's not necessarily fit for every organization, but if it does make sense and you've got,
Hmm.
you're raising a good amount of funds, having a third party do that kind of allows you to delegate some level of authority so that you can lead, the large committee you have in making sure that 3,000 guests are going to have a really good time.
Yeah, and if I had to add any other advice, I would just say to stay flexible, because we had to be flexible this year. Just with our typical timeline is we announce our artists in February, and in order to secure this artist, we announced later, but we sort of made it fun for our donors by just building that anticipation and then building our Trailblazers party event around that entertainment reveal. So I think just to stay flexible and open to potentially shifting, some protocols around to get the right person.
That's fantastic, Courtney. And I'd love for one of you, whoever would like to elaborate on this Trailblazers kickoff party. And, because really you're creating momentum and anticipation for this year months. So talk a little bit about the kickoff party and how you start things off with a bang, because that's really what you're doing with the Trailblazers party.
Yeah, we held on to this secret for 8 months. And so we were very ready to kick things off. Rob, we were very, very ready. So we also had sort of played some, kind of guessing games with our committee, making things exciting and fun for them. We tried to make the theme of the attire kind of a tease. We did a separate theme reveal a couple months prior just to kind of build that excitement, and people just even with the theme started like thinking a different direction than they maybe had before about who the artist may be. So we just played with it, had fun with it. Listened to a lot of guesses and tried to keep poker faces. But we really honestly had so much fun.
So can I ask, how do you tease without giving it away?
We did a lot of, I guess you'll find out in May.
So
So
true.
I love that.
It's worth the wait.
It's worth the wait. Trust me, trust me, trust me. All right. So you're at, you're at the Trailblazer party and you create the reveal. So talk about how you revealed, Nina, if you'd like to field this question, talk about how you
Yes.
revealed who the artist is and tell us a little bit about this artist and why you both chose this artist to appear this year.
You know, for I guess let's talk about the artist because really, I mean, we love Post Malone. We love his music. We love what he stands for too. He's just a really good guy. He's humble. He's had this amazing success. He's from the area. He loves Dallas. He loves the Cowboys. He just is so grateful to be where he is. And he realizes if it wasn't for his hometown crowd cheering him on, maybe he would be where he is today, but he just is so grateful. And we love that about him so much. And it was so fun to put together this entertainment reveal video. I think we've watched it at least 100 times. What do you think, Courtney?
Probably.
And and we just could not wait to share it to the world. So we used Beyond Productions, who are great. They help us with the ball as well, and we got some great images, great videos from his team, and just got to reveal with this amazing video of Post Malone headlining for 2026.
That's amazing. And that's amazing that his team also provided B-roll that you could also use to intertwine in with the reveal video to really kind of add that kind of that star quality impact that, only cattle barons, quite frankly, can really, really do. So that's, I just think that's so cool and that his ties to the area as well. I never even thought about that. But that really is a great way. It's kind of going back to that earlier question about incorporating local feel. There's no way to incorporate a local feel than Superstar comes home.
Oh my gosh. And we got to go to his show and it was really impactful and just amazing to see him on stage. And he just a great guy.
Absolutely. And, Cattle Barons happens because of your leadership, but I also know that there is a village, because it always takes a village to put together an event like this. And that goes to, what you were saying earlier, Nina, even though Courtney, I'd like you to field this question, but you had talked about you were on several committees before you chaired. So, Courtney, share with the audience, how does having a strong event committee help you and Nina carry out the vision of what you want this event to be?
Yeah, I mean, as Nina said, early on we try to sort of slot people into different roles that highlight their strengths, and help. And each year we also have a whole sort of class of new members, so we get to know that whole group, and they are very much in their fundraising years. So we rely heavily on the new members to do a lot of fundraising, to do a lot of bringing in items for auction and underwriting, and then we have chairs for those committees also, who we really lean on to run those committees efficiently and just make a good first impression for the organization because the future of the organization are those new members who again you hope stay on for 5-10 years and do a lot of great work for the organization.
Now, with 100 women, how do you identify leaders for those subcommittees? Like what do you all look for in terms of they're going to help you carry out that vision for your event and be an extension so you all sound, like you're in unison, like you're a chorus, for lack of a better musical term.
Yeah, I mean, we really thought about people that we trusted, people that we thought were organized, people that we thought were positive. And honestly, we're going to keep things fun because ultimately these are volunteers, and we wanted people to feel like they were having a good experience too.
Absolutely. Very, very, very well said. And I know that one or both of you had teased upon the theme, and I want to direct this next question to Nina. Talk a little bit about this year's theme and how you and Courtney, selected and chose it and, the significance of it for this year.
It was really a fun creative process for us. Again, were lucky enough to know the entertainment to then tailor our theme to the entertainer, which that was our hope for this year. And when we came across all cylinders, we just thought with the momentum of 51 years and 100 women doing this together. We're firing on all cylinders this year, and we're continuing that momentum. And then with the black and the white and the maroon and beige, like it has definitely more of a little rock and roll feel too, which we feel like Post has that. So we've had a lot of fun tailoring it to him too.
That's fun. So that you're making the headline performer feel really comfortable and just feel that he can, feel right at home in, in his, in the space. And the space, and Nina, I'd love for you to, I'd love to address this, is tell us about the space. And if you think about it, if you've got a hometown boy coming back after he's made it really big, I can't think of a better place to host this event than where you're the venue for it this year.
Oh, we love South Fork. We're so excited to be back there. This will be our fourth year back on the ranch. And we have the largest tent in the US that comes in, and it takes them about a week to set up. They have great space inside where we have our silent auction. And Dallas was filmed there. So we think Post is really going to like staying in that mansion and seeing what that's all about too.
Oh, that's fun. So he gets to live like the Ewings for a day.
Maybe, yes.
Well, and speaking of that family feel and it being large, and when I wasn't joking when I said earlier 3,000, I'm sure that people listening are like, oh, he's making that number up. No, he's not making that number up. It's 3,000 people attend. And I'd love to hear, Nina, we'll start with you, and then Courtney, you can chime in if you'd like. But what advice would you give to someone looking to host a large event and still create a family feel? Because that's one of the beautiful things about Cattle Barons is it really does have an incredible family feel when you walk into it.
Gosh, thank you for saying that. We feel the same way. We've had Kate Fishel with Facade. She's been on our team for years and years now. She is our event designer, and she really pulls it all together with us with our vision. She wants to make sure there's a wow factor and that every space is curated. Every photo op is tailored to that exact sponsor. I mean, every detail is perfection and executed and so thoughtful. And it is a big space. So you really want to kind of get a lay of the land. So you could miss something. We have a live auction, we have a silent auction, we have a sports saloon, we have a casino, we have a marketplace. It just, and so many photo ops and so many cool photo ops this year. We can't wait to show them to you when at the event. But it's really it's a magical night. And I think when you first come and you've never been before, it's pretty a wow. It's a wow factor.
It absolutely is. And the fact that you've got so many different spaces and at the same time you can make them feel cohesive. I mean, that's really why Cattle
Uh-huh.
Barons is so special, is it's an incredible feat to be able to kind of take and pull all of those things together. And, you mentioned the auction, and Courtney, I'd love to address the this auction question to you. You all really do have the mother of all auctions. I mean, it really is just the silent auction, the live auction. I mean, talk about the process of curating good items that people want to bid on, whether it's a silent auction and a live auction. And more importantly, because I'm sure you get a lot of requests, how you decide, especially if you've got some high ticket items, what you're going to put in a silent auction versus what you're going to put in a live auction.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the truth is, I think a lot of us think about what would we want to bid on, to be honest. And then those businesses are pursued to see if they have any interest in participating. In terms of where things, end up, a lot of times we wait till the very end to make that assessment. And luckily, we can share that we have our same live auctioneer back. Her name's Letitia Fry. So we are going to ask for her assistance in that, since she is just so good at her job. And we want to use her expertise to kind of help us decide which items she thinks will be most successful in the live auction and just sort of take it from there. As far as other, goals with that, we have so many longtime partners who consistently donate, items and and big board items and live auction items every year. And those are just things that we're just so grateful for. But what we really think are, the most successful items are items that you can't just go out and purchase yourself. So unique experiences that get curated, unique places you don't have access to. Those things are just kind of the most coveted in our minds.
Absolutely. And Nina, would you have anything to, chime in on? Because I know that the auction really is a huge undertaking for cattle barons and ACS.
Yeah, no, we the live auction, like Courtney said, we have people that come back year after year and we tailor it each year. And we have some great chairs that are in charge of that this year. So we are still finalizing a lot of our packages and we're very excited about what's to come and we're very excited about our paddle raise too that is within live auction. And I'd love for Courtney to explain about that because that definitely is near and dear to my heart and very, very near and dear to her heart.
Yeah, so we sort of break up the live auction, which is obviously just filled with excitement, with something that kind of brings us back to the cause and why we're all there that evening, and that's called the paddle raise. And every year we sort of have a cause that paddle raise will go towards, and this year it's going to be called the Sasche Fund. And it is basically going to be a research fund specifically for North Texas, but it's in honor of Ceci Sanford, who is a little girl who unfortunately passed due to cancer just a little less than 2 years ago, to a very dear family and friend of mine. So we're very excited to share their story.
And sharing story, and that's the thing about, any good paddle raise is that you really have to showcase what the organization is about. Because when people are buying an auction item, they're buying an experience. But when they're buying a paddles up, they're buying a cause. They're really you're tugging at the heartstrings in a way that gets people to give. And when you have a captive audience of 3,000, people can give lots of money and people can give smaller amounts. And you can talk about how $50,000 provides X service and $1,000 provides Y service. And that's really important to understand, that anyone there can donate a certain amount and it makes a difference in the life or in the lives of a person or a family. And I think that's just
Mhm.
incredible. Absolutely. So I'd love to hear in addition to post, Nina, and I'd like to address this next question to you. Tell us some other things guests can expect to experience at this year's Cattle Barons Ball.
Yes, yes. I mean, we have, oh my gosh, so many different photo ops. So I think there's going to be some surprise photo ops that you're not going to want to miss this year. Amazing food by Vestals will be back. We have some, our great partnerships with our different sponsors for our live auction. We can't wait. Silent auction is always amazing to see. I mean, casino, if you're not into just like, if you're into casino and just love to play poker and play some games, that's a great option for someone. There's just so much to do that I think you can't do it all. And we're very excited about marketplace this year. We have some great vendors that'll be there, great price point, and just kind of items that you can pick up and go with.
So explain, and Courtney, I'd love for you to explain the concept of marketplace, because I think it's really one of the most unique things I've ever encountered or witnessed at an event. So explain kind of how the marketplace works and how you're able to effectively basically combine commerce with charity, if we keep the C's going on together.
Yeah, it's something that we trialed last year and it was very successful. And really, it's we have a few brands that we're partnering with. One of them will be back this year. It's called McKinney Hat Company, and they are there with any type of hat, as high level or as basic of an item as you're looking for, and then lots of ways just to make it sort of unique to you. So accessories for the hats. This year we'll have branding for the hats. Just something like almost like a keepsake from the event. We're going to have a jewelry company there as well this year. We're going to have some other elements there that we're excited about. And then one other thing for the event is honestly our VIP artist we're really excited about as well. His name is Chandler Walters. And he is an up and coming Nashville star. We are already saying like we're excited to, years down the road be like, remember when we saw him, in that little, VIP show at Cattle Barons? But we really think he has a bright future ahead, and we're really excited to introduce him to the Dallas crowd.
That's amazing. And that's really one of the things, when people say, what's a good reason to go to a gala? And there are so many major artists that perform at those for nonprofits before they do hit it big. And to be able to hear somebody when it's just kind of a cool story that you can talk about 20 years later, and people will, that's a great way to devote, build a devoted, brand following for an event like with Cattle Barons. And I know we're coming up on time today, but I always like to end with this question. And Courtney, we'll start with you, and Nina, you can have the last word. And that is, what is one thing all successful fundraising events have in common?
I think heart. I think people just you can just sniff authenticity and heart. And I think the organizations that have that are the most successful. And then they have the most longevity as well, because people want to continue in an organization like that and continue to support.
Absolutely. Very well said. And Nina, you get the last word.
I think it's the love and the passion behind the cause. It just really brings people together. And if you've been touched by something, it really does affect you and makes you want to do more for it.
Absolutely. And passion and heart is really key to a successful fundraising event. And Kettle Barons has always had that in spades. I know this year is going to be the best one yet. And I can't thank you both enough for joining us today. You both gave such wonderful insights as to what it takes to really put on really a world-class fundraising event. So Nina, Courtney, thank you so much, both of you, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. And the Cattle Barons Ball, benefiting American Cancer Society, will be held on October 25th, 2025 at South Fork Ranch. For more information, please visit cattlebaronsball.com. And that will do it for this episode of Fun and Fundraising. I'm your host, Rob Giardinelli, reminding you to keep it fun, keep it interesting, and your guests will have a great time. Have a great day, everyone, and take care.